Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to happy hour tonight. Let's see. I think people are going to trickle in a little slow. Hi, everyone. I am Soleil. I am Coven Mother of Vision of Dawn Tour, founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader, and I'm a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. Um, I am here tonight with my dear sister, um, my collaborator for one of the rituals that we're offering currently. I'm here with my sister, Kodan. I'm going to hand things over to her for a little bit just so that she can introduce herself and talk a little bit about what it is we're collaborating on. So, whenever you're ready, Kodan, go ahead and just jump on in.
Hello, I am Kodan. I am god sister to Mamba Soleil. I am a road opening priestess, which is why we are offering a road opening ritual at the end of the month. I, excuse me, I found road opening when I first, shortly after I came out of addiction, shortly after I got sober. I found, and anybody who's ever dealt with addiction knows, that when you come out of it, you have a hard time finding a decent job. You have a hard time, building relationships, holding relationships, rebuilding bonds that you broke in addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really just a hard time escaping the void that comes after addiction. And people don't really talk about that, but it's a very real thing. It's a void of a loneliness, honestly. Um, so when I started my journey, that was my goal, was to get out of that void. So I found my way to road opening, and in doing so, I opened roads to a job that I enjoy, a job that literally moved me geographically to another place, to a place where I could be closer to the people, whose bonds I had broken in my addiction, so that I could rebuild those bonds. Um, I got my own apartment, which was very hard to do. But I was able to do that because I got a decent job. I rebuilt bonds, I made new friendships. And a lot of that's really hard to do. It took a lot of work to do it. A lot of road opening. Um, so a lot of people don't understand what road opening is. And essentially, it's, when you're stuck in a place, when you're stagnant, when you're feeling like you're stuck in a void, right? The way you get out of that is through road opening, right? Because you're stuck. All the roads are closed. You have nowhere to go. So you have to open them. You have to open them. You have to clear away things that are holding you back so that you can move forward. And I'm really excited to share that with everybody when we do the ritual, and to just help people move out of situations that they're stuck in.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're gonna tonight. This is technically happy hour, and for those of you who've been to happy hour before, you know that this is where we kind of just shoot the shit about pop culture topics. Dig into the lives of celebrities, politicians, and political figures. Um, and so tonight, what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about some public figures and that we think could benefit from road opening, and we're going to talk about why. But before we get into that, I do just want to ask Kodan a few more questions about road opening work. I've learned tremendously from her about road opening. And outside of even what I've learned about road opening from Kodan, I just want to speak about her as my sister and what I've witnessed in her. When we first met, Kodan, like, you barely spoke. You were just like this. You were just so shy, like barely
I
knew you
was.
had a voice, super, super quiet. And so it's just been so amazing in these last few years to witness how you've accessed this work, not only to create pathways in your life and to open roads for yourself, but also just to open up as a person, right? So it's just been really, really dope to witness. Um, as a road opening priestess, as somebody who has taught others how to open the roads and how to do this work, what would you say are some misconceptions that people have about road opening work?
People think that road opening is just for opportunities, right? To call in opportunities. That is not all it's for. Like you said, when we first met, I was quiet. I didn't say anything to anyone. I sat back, I observed everything, and I just didn't speak. Um, but road opening can actually help, unlock those pathways within you, right? That are blocked. Um, Drug addiction causes a tremendous, not only a hormonal, but a chemical imbalance, right? So that was a lot of the reason I was stuck, is because, of that chemical imbalance. It hadn't balanced itself out yet. And I used road opening to help clear out those blockages within myself so that I could be more of myself instead of living in the constant anxiety and constant um kind of like fear.
Yes.
So road opening can be used for more than just to call in opportunities. Road opening can literally be used to create who you want to be as well as the life you want to live.
Mm-hmm. If somebody is trying to consider whether or not road opening works for them, what would be some of the things that you would have them consider, or like some signs you would tell them to pay attention to?
How they feel during
Mm,
their day, as they're going about their day, how they feel. um do you feel tired? Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel impatient? Do you feel what brings you joy? Um, but mainly, yeah, how you feel as you go about your day, because that's where you notice, well, this isn't bringing me joy. If it doesn't bring you joy, you're not meant to have it.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would tell them to consider how they feel. What are they feeling in life? Do they feel like they're lacking things? Do they feel like they're lacking within themselves? Do they feel like they are stuck in a never ending cycle? Do they feel like there's something that they just can't push? Do they feel like there's something there that's keeping them stuck in any situation, honestly, relationship,
Mhm.
job, their living situation, um, just in everything they do? Do you feel stuck? Do you feel like I'd like to break out of this, but I don't know how?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I have a question, and I feel like God just put this on my heart to ask. Would you recommend road opening for somebody who maybe struggles with forgiveness? And if so, what would be the benefits of that?
Absolutely. I So my mom is one of those people who struggles with forgiveness. So when I got sober, I she was the hardest one. She was the hardest bond to rebuild. But with road opening, if you struggle with forgiveness, you can open the pathway to allow yourself to forgive. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about road opening is that you can, with road opening, I have a saying, and it's all work, right? All spiritual work is road opening work,
Mm.
right? But not all road opening work is spiritual work. And what
Yes.
that means is that everything you're doing, whatever kind of work you're doing, a road has to be open for it to get through.
Yes.
It has to. It's not. if you're putting that energy out there, it has to go somewhere. But if that road is blocked, it will not go anywhere. So, road opening is all work.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to forgiveness, that's more of an internal thing, right? Where that's part of shadow work, right? If you have trouble forgiving, if you struggle with forgiveness, that's part of shadow work. Something within your shadow self feels, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels so, I can't find the word. So I'm just gonna say it feels right, like you can't allow yourself to be vulnerable and open up to people,
Yeah,
right?
it feels
You feel like
unsafe.
you
Yeah.
right. You're incredibly guarded.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's a shadow issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But road opening can be used for shadow work. That's I had to do a ton of it, and that's how I did it was through road opening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really excited about this ritual. I think it's going to provide people with a lot of opportunity to see breakthrough. Um, I'm grateful that we're doing it after Rich Spirit. I love Rich Spirit. It's one of my favorite things that I do. But it's a prosperity ritual and it has its limitations, right? In that process of revelation around the blockages, a lot of people still have extra work that they need to do, right? And I'm grateful that we're offering this because I think it's a great follow up and a great addition to people being able to explore, right? Because sometimes people have these big revelations and then they're like, okay, well, what do I do? And I think picking up with road opening, once you are aware of what the blockages are, once you know that you are repeating certain cycles and you just want to really get off of that hamster wheel, you want to have a different experience, you want to open yourself up to a new way of navigating life. I think that Pathways to Power is going to be really, really great for people in terms of them, finally breaking through these big barriers and these big blockages. So I'm excited, and I want to thank you again for working with me on this. Um, are you ready to transition into the mess now? Because I think that's what some people are here for.
Let's do it.
Okay, so we have a couple of topics, some people in the public eye that we think need a little bit of help. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about these particular people, what's going on with them, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kodan to talk about how she thinks that these people would benefit from road opening work, what this would do for them. So, we're going to start off with Tyra Banks. Tyra Banks, famous fashion model, pioneer in the fashion industry, is currently in the public eye, receiving a lot of ire for the work that she did with the show America's Next Top Model, which debuted in the early 2000s. And I have, it's a pet peeve of mine because people keep saying, oh, in hindsight, these things were wrong. No, this was crazy when we were watching it 2003 and 2004. It was nuts when it was happening. But the documentary, and I forget what the documentary is called, but it's on Netflix, has really put the conversation around this show back in the public eye, right? And she's receiving a lot of backlash. At the same time that she's receiving backlash for her work with America's Next Top Model, she's also trying to sell and rebrand herself as like an ice cream lady by selling hot ice cream, which I don't understand how that's even a thing. And she recently, there's a clip of her going around in an interview where she's saying, I'm grateful for the work I've done in the fashion industry, but I don't want that to be my legacy. I want my legacy to be ice cream. So, from my perspective, it seems like she's struggling with a little bit of shame around her legacy within the fashion industry. I experience or am witnessing her as somebody that's dealing with a little bit of an identity crisis. as it relates to her career and to her legacy. So, Kodan, if Tyra Banks or someone who was in Tyra's position came to you and they were thinking about road opening work, would you think that they would benefit from it? And if so, why?
I made a head wash recently, and I think she needs it. She needs some
Mm-hmm.
clarity. Um, she seems lost to me, and
Mm-hmm.
because regardless of what you say, Tyra, your legacy is going to be modeling. That's what it is.
No control of
She
that.
did that TV show for a little while, and people don't even talk about that. They talk about America's Next Top Model. They don't even talk about her modeling days anymore, right? They talk
Yes.
about America's Next Top Model. Um, I think she could also she's needs clarity. It's not an identity crisis per se. Well, I mean it is, but it's because of the inauthenticity. She has failed to be herself, so now she
Yes.
doesn't know who she is, right?
Yes.
Um, and I don't blame her for that. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, Tyra, talking about America's Next Top Model," but I think we all fail to understand that she was a black woman, a pioneering, the modeling industry, and she had to do something to make herself stand out, so she was mean to everybody, you know? Um, and back then, like, yes, it was crazy to watch, but that is what got her noticed, right?
Yes.
That is what made her name, was the fact that she was so brutal when speaking to those contestants.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that now she needs clarity. I have a road opening head wash that I made to help, find direction, to help find clarity and direction. So I would definitely recommend that. And I would recommend it would be a ritual. I'd put it into a ritual for her to do so she can find herself. Because ice cream is not that's not who she is.
Yeah.
Um, I think now she's just trying to pivot because she is getting so much backlash.
Yeah.
But that pivot's not working for her.
Yeah.
Um, I think it probably would have been a better idea for her to like go into clothes. You know what I mean? Like fashion is your legacy.
Yeah. A fashion line, a shoe line, anything of that nature. A wig line, shit, anything in that area would have been much better.
Makeup.
Yeah. If you don't mind, may I ask you a follow up question? Because you said something that was very, very brilliant. You said that her issue is inauthenticity. Um, how does inauthenticity block our roads?
Because we lose our clarity. When we're trying to be somebody we're not, we lose our clarity about who we are and what we are supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So by being inauthentic to ourselves, even if it is, for the cameras, right? Like her on America's Next Top Model, even if it is for the cameras and to put on a show, by being inauthentic to yourself, you're blocking your Ori, right? Ori's always trying to guide us. And if we're not listening, if we're pushing it aside and saying, no, I have to do this, no, I have to pretend to be this for somebody else, we are not living up to our own highest good. We're not doing what our highest self
Yes.
wants us to be doing.
Yes. And
And that creates blockages.
in the words of EML, I can't say her Ianifa name yet. I have to get her to pronounce it for me so that I can say it. But EML, I'll call her EML until I know how to say it correctly. But that's one of the things that she always says to me, and that, when I work with her, that she, repeats a lot, is that, nothing moves without Ori. Nothing in your life moves. It needs approval from Ori. And if you are moving in inauthenticity, if you're ignoring Ori, you're absolutely right. It is going to create, complications and blockages in your life. I see it a lot with people that I work with in coaching that suffer with people pleasing, and getting them to understand that, like, that is causing a part of why you have so much stagnation and so much discomfort in your life, because you are being inauthentic. You are putting the the desires of other people before the desires and the movements and the dictates of what your spirits, what your ori are telling you need to do. So yeah, thank you so much for clarifying that. I thought that was such a brilliant point. Um, so yeah, I think that Tyra, I agree with you that Tyra could definitely benefit from some clarity work. It would be interesting to see how that shows up in her life. Um,
Yeah, that pathway to her Ori needs to be open. It's blocked.
yeah.
Honestly, I think the her throat chakra is overworking because her crown chakra and her third eye chakra, they're not working. It's like
Yes.
it's all built up here and coming out, and these two are not working.
Mm-hmm. Good observation. I love that. I love that. Um, how do you feel about talking about Stefan Diggs next?
We can talk about him, but I
Okay.
wouldn't do nothing for him. Just so we're clear. I'm not going against Cardi. She scares me a little.
Well, even if we don't like a person, when people come to us in need, we have to at least hear them out, you know? So, um, Stefan Diggs, I'm not gonna go off on that tangent, but he looks like Offset in a lot of ways to me. So it's funny how certain people repeat certain cycles. Cardi definitely has a type. Um, but Stefan Diggs, in addition to after his loss with the Super Bowl, had the separation from Cardi. So they're no longer together. He also has lost his lawsuit against his former chef, rumored to also be former lover, that, was suing him because he put hands on her and was withholding money from her. And within the last day or so, it has hit the news that he's about to be released from his contract with the New England Patriots. So there's just a lot in terms of loss and separation happening in his life right now. So if he were to come to you as a client, um, in light of all of these things that are happening, him losing this big contract, having recently lost a big case, now separated from his extremely public partner, what guidance would you give him in terms of supporting him with road opening?
Um, First, I would tell him that not every loss is a bad thing, right? Sometimes we lose things so better things can come along. And even though we don't want to lose them, even though, those tower moments, they're a bitch. We all know that. But they're
Yes.
necessary, right? They're necessary to propel us forward. So I would explain that to him first and foremost. I would also tell him, sir, we are in the middle of eclipse season. Well, technically, the last eclipse was just on 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Um, but dramatic changes are happening.
Mhm.
People are losing a lot of things. Tower moments are happening to everybody.
Yes.
So that's part of, the clearing out. But we clear out so we can make way for new. Um, I would, I would do some road opening work for him if my ancestors said I could.
Hmm.
I would, right? Because we don't know what he has going on, right? We all know what the
Absolutely.
rumors are about Cardi. We all know, right? So we don't
Hmm.
know what that could be his karma for doing her for doing whatever he did to her, right? All of this could just be the the cards falling the way they were meant to be because he crossed her. And you don't interrupt people's karma, you know? Sometimes you've got
Yes.
to let them have that because
Hmm.
that's how they're balanced. That's how things balance out. Um, which a lot of people don't understand, right? Is that there is a karmic balance. So when you do wrong by people, it comes back to you.
Yes.
However, once you've paid that, right, it balances out and then we're good
Hmm.
again. Depending on what you did. Don't, just so y'all know, depending on what you did, some things you might not be able to bounce back from.
Hmm.
But, essentially when we do wrong, we pay our dues and it balances out. Once that's balanced, you can absolutely, right, open new pathways. He may have something better on the horizon. Like, yes, maybe the New England Patriots will let him go, but maybe he will get picked up by another team that will he will go on to win a Super Bowl ring for.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know what I mean? That's the thing, is that we never know what's in the cards. Um, but I would definitely, with him, I would definitely, it wouldn't even be so much about opening roads as it would be about helping him get into balance, because he's everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see it when I see him on the, right? When I see him on my screen, I can just see he's everywhere. It's like his chakras are everywhere. He's all out of balance. So he needs to be balanced. So that would be the first thing I would work on with him, would be balancing out. That way he has some clarity and can move forward confidently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Learn to settle down. Like, choose a woman and settle down. You've got your pick
Yes.
of them. You don't need them all.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. A lot of his problems would be solved by just going ahead and settling down. And it's time. That's a grown man. Um,
Hmm.
I love that. And we know this because we do this work and it's how we were taught to do the work. But I'm grateful that you mentioned the fact that you would not do the work unless your ancestors gave you permission. That's something that I really have to boundary set with people about quite a bit. I can count on half of one hand how many people I've done spiritual work for without a consultation, and it was literally life or death, right? Um, so I think it's important that people remember that if you are working with someone and you're getting spiritual work and they don't make you require you to get a reading beforehand, you should be worried. Okay, that should be concerning for you. That should be a red flag because part of getting the reading done ahead of time is A, making sure that the person has authorization, B, that that's the appropriate working, right? Oftentimes people will come to me requesting something really, really specific, and it's through divination, through consultation with the spirits, that it's clear that the thing that the person desires is not what they need, right? And so you want somebody that has enough spiritual and moral ethics to make sure that they're doing the right thing for you. So it's really important to consider that and to be aware of that when coming to someone for spiritual work. If they don't do a reading beforehand, be nervous because this is somebody who's probably, going to sell you snake oil instead of the thing that you need. Mommy issues with digs. I wouldn't be surprised, Nicole. Um, Most men who have issues committing to a woman do have mother issues. There's a mother wound there, right? And this is why I teach about mother wounds often. The way that mother wounds show up for women, whether it's women who date women or women who date men, manifests differently than how it does with men, whether the men are dating women or the men are dating other men, right? And a lot of times that difficulty with commitment does show up as mother issues. But I mean, it could be mommy issues. It could be somebody who's not used to having money. Let's be real, right? A lot of times when people are not used to having money and then they come into extreme wealth, they how that shows up is that they use money to manipulate people. They see people as expendable, as exchangeable, right? So it could be a variety of different things.
Or it
Either
could
or.
be the mommy issue could be that she just spoiled him. Let him do whatever he wants. Let him have whatever he wants. So now he thinks he deserves to have whatever he wants.
Yeah. That lack of discipline. It's a lot of people who deal with their mother wound is that their mother spoiled them and did not give them any discipline, right? So
Mhm.
I agree. Totally. Um, Tamika said, or
No, I
daddy
said that.
issues. Yeah, that it could be daddy issues, right? Again, going back to the discipline. Fathers are there to instill structure. And even if it's not your father, the person that did the fathering in your life, right? Their role was to provide discipline and structure. So when you have a man who struggles with sexual discipline, with commitment to this degree, yeah, you're absolutely right, Tamika. It could be a result of daddy issues as well. Hmm.
Mhm.
You good with going into the next topic? All
Yep.
right. Um, let's talk about Floyd Mayweather. I think he's interesting to look at. Now, mind you, everything that I'm about to say about Floyd is speculation, but the speculation is kind of juicy, right? You have this boxer, greatest boxer in the world, who has been retired for quite some time. But now he's coming out of retirement and he's doing these random fights with B-list celebrities, influencers, just random fights that really look like cash grabs to other people, right? There was this conversation about him owning a building in New York, only for it to come out that he does not own the building. There's no paperwork proving that he owns the building. It's like a co-op situation with 200 other people, right? Um, there were rumors about him being stuck in Dubai for a really long time because he didn't have the money to leave. But the rumor is that he may be hundreds of millions of dollars in debt, and that's why he's coming back out of retirement very slowly and taking on these fights. So I thought it would be interesting, if it were, again, because it's not confirmed, if it, let's say it's Floyd, but even if it wasn't Floyd, if a celebrity came to you that was coming out of retirement against their will, they really don't want to be out of retirement, right? Because they have hundreds of thousands, or not hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars of debt that they need to account for. What would be the advice you would give them? Is road opening appropriate for them? If so, why? If not, why not? What's going on?
Um, I would, well, because, and let's just be honest, sometimes clients lie, right? And they don't want
Yes,
to tell you the whole truth.
yes. We
So
just
I
talked
would,
about this last night in class.
yeah, yeah, right. People lie.
Yeah.
So I would most definitely do a divination just so I could understand better what the situation was to see if
Hmm.
road opening was appropriate. Because it could absolutely be, that it's not, that maybe he needs prosperity work, or maybe he needs, clarity. Maybe he needs something, maybe he needs rich spirit, right? To help clear these debts and bring in new money. Um, because when we're looking at somebody who's, his age, he should be relaxing. He should be on a beach somewhere, not worried about anything, you
Agreed.
know? So the idea of putting him back into work at his age, it kind of feels wrong to me, right?
Yes.
It feels like there's got to be something better for him to do, right? So if I were going to do road opening, it would be for a pivot, because there's got to be something easier, something less hard on the
Yeah.
body, something less hard on the mental, that you could be doing in your age, because as you know an elder, especially within our community, you deserve a chance to sit down and rest, sir.
Yes.
You've done the work, you've made the name, you've shown the black excellence, right? So now you get to relax. So I would possibly consider maybe finding him something, pivoting to put him somewhere where he could be, like sportscasting, or even sitting down talk shows, right? How many times have
Mhm.
we seen these athletes, um, you know, once they leave the sport, they host talk shows, right? Or a podcast. Right,
Yes.
right, Nicole, like a boxing gym or a camp, something that could bring you in income without you having to stress your body and your mind,
Mhm.
to make this money, that to resolve these debts. And
Mhm.
I would also, then I'd send them your way for some prosperity work.
Yeah. You, again, I'm so grateful we're having this conversation because you are highlighting some things that are really brilliant for people to consider in regards to whether or not road opening work is needed in their life. And maturation in and of itself is a really good thing to pay attention to, right? Being real with yourself about where you are in life and if it matches, if the experiences you're having of the world, of the people around you are matching where you are in terms of age appropriateness, right? And I see this sometimes with clients where they're having these experiences of someone who is in their that are typical of someone who's in their 20s, and it's like, ma'am, you are 45, you are 50. You know what I mean? Like, that is a symptom in and of itself, because there's some sort of stagnation there, right? There's something happening energetic that's holding you in this space of youthfulness when you are supposed to be at your elder stage, right? You're supposed to be at a point of wisdom where you're pouring into other people. I thought that that was brilliant that you said that. And I think that that can happen sometimes with people in careers where they're like, oh, let me go back to the thing that I've always done. But you may have outgrown that thing. And so you need to be future thinking. You need to be at a space of clarity that matches the point in life where you are. Brilliant. Thank you for saying that. That was amazing. Um, and Nicole, that is a brilliant idea. I thought a similar thing. Like, if it's Floyd Mayweather, if he opened a chain of boxing gyms, right? He would make millions instantly. Like, of course, people would want to go to the Floyd Mayweather boxing gym. That would be brilliant.
Send their
Okay.
kids to the Floyd Mayweather summer boxing summer camp.
Yes, yes. It would be so competitive, and it will put money in a lot of people's hands. Absolutely.
Hmm.
We have two more left. I want to talk about Britney Spears next. Britney is a very interesting case to me. In the last 2 years, there's been all this conversation about her being under conservatorship, and we've gotten some pretty gnarly details about how difficult her life has been made under this conservatorship. There was the big case that happened. Um, and I think people have the misconception that she's no longer under conservatorship. That's not what happened. It's just that she transitioned from one that was very strict in a particular way to one that was a little bit more lenient. So she still has a lot of restriction over her life. Last week, the news came out that her music catalog was sold for $200 million. It's unclear whether or not she has access to that 200 million or not, or whether the people attached to her conservatorship are ruling that money. And then within the last couple of days, it's come out that she was arrested for DUI, right? So there's obviously something going on with Britney. That case that happened last year was not as cut and dry as we come to believe, and there's something going on with her. So if Britney came to you right now with everything going on, having just sold her music catalog, fresh off of a DUI arrest, what do you think would benefit her right now? What support would be helpful to her or someone who's in her position?
She also needs some clarity work. She
Mm-hmm.
is lost. You can see it
Yes.
in her eyes. You can see it in the way she behaves. She's lost. She and I don't want to say it that she peaked a long time, but that's the truth, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that it was meant to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that yes, I think that um that man came into her life and he wrecked her.
Yes.
Um, he threw her all off balance, and she just hasn't been able to get her footing since. I think that she needs some grounding and some clarity work first and foremost. She needs to figure out who she is and where she wants to go, right? She still has a lot of life left in her. So she needs to figure out what it is she wants to do with that life. And I think that the people who are holding on to her conservatorship, the people who have benefited off of it the most, I feel like they are adding confusion to her life on
Mm,
purpose, right?
yes.
Because if she's confused, if she doesn't know who she is or what she's doing, that makes her look unstable, which makes it easier for them to control her,
Hmm.
right? So she could definitely afford some road opening work, honestly, if only to cause, and it's real sad. I'm gonna say this, and you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, that's awful," but if only to cause huge tower moments to make all those people go away.
Go away. Yes.
They are an obstacle in her path. They are causing blockages, and she needs them removed.
Yes.
Um, because I'll be honest, I've always thought, I've been saying it for years, that she's being drugged. They're
It's
doing
very
something to
obvious. Yes.
control, yes, to control and manipulate her. Maybe, maybe he got her addicted to something, right? And
Hmm.
it's just been like that ever since. I don't even want to say his name because I don't like him. I never did like him. um, but yeah, they're doing something to her, and they need to go away. So if I were going to do road opening work for her, I would do it specifically to clear out every obstacle in her path.
Hmm. Hmm. I agree.
And
I
she
agree.
and she might be left lonely. She might be left lonely. But what I think many of us who are on this journey have come to understand, that being alone doesn't equate to loneliness, right?
Yeah.
Um, Especially when you use that time to find yourself and to find your purpose
Yeah.
and to connect with your Ori.
Yeah. I love your perspective about the tower. I think it's a really important one for people to adopt. I always hate when I'm doing a reading for someone, and as soon as I say the tower, they start freaking out, right? Because, like, okay, yes, you may lose something, but it's going to clear space for you to get actual blessings, right? And do you want to hold on to dead things, to dead weight, to things that are actually draining you? Or do you want to have the opportunity to call in alignment, right? Tower happens right before the alignment. And so, yeah, it may be a little uncomfortable, but it's putting you in a position to have better and to do better, right? So,
Yes.
um,
And it might even be sad, but I would like to see people and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm weird, but I get excited when I see the tower card. I'm like, yes, change is coming. Like, yes, things are moving. To the tower means there's movement.
yes. We always want to do work to call something in, but we don't want to clear the space for the things we're calling in. Like, how are we being spiritual hoarders in that way? And in what that doesn't serve us, right? So I agree. I agree completely. Um, let's talk about our last topic. It is a little controversial, but I think, especially in this day and age, it's a conversation that's important to have, right? With the proliferation of OnlyFans and sex work really being normalized in the way that it is, we have to start having some difficult conversations about the fallout and the impact of it, right? So I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Bonnie Blue. Bonnie Blue is an OnlyFans performer who went viral last year for having did a 1,000 person gangbang. So she did. It was supposed to be the world's largest, I believe, gangbang, and she recruited a lot of her OnlyFans clientele to participate in it. Right? It went viral because not only did she do it, but there was like an interview of her crying after. Um, and she was trying to kind of hide her tears or justify the tears. And instead of saying, like, I feel dirty or I feel overwhelmed, she was like, well, I feel like I couldn't connect with everyone. And it's like, okay, baby, it's okay to regret this, right? It's okay to have a regret, but it obviously had a negative impact on her. Now here we are a few months later, and it's come out that after this experience, she got pregnant. She got pregnant during this event and the recording of this event. And so she now has to do DNA testing to figure out who the father of her child is. So there's a lot going on with this situation. A lot. And I think that because she considers herself an advocate of the sex work industry and an advocate of OnlyFans, she doesn't want to really confront her regrets, right? So if someone in her position, or if she came to you after this experience and dealing with this particular situation, what would be some wisdom you would give her? How would you approach this?
Do we know, is she planning on having this baby?
She's keeping the baby.
Okay. Um, well, first I would tell her, obviously doing your job, you use contraception, right? That's so if you are now carrying this child, it was probably meant to happen, right? Um, I would I would explain to her that it's okay to regret it. It's okay to regret doing that. And more importantly, it's okay to speak out about it because there are many, many women who work in the sex industry who regret things they've done,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so yes, you can be an advocate for sex work. Yes, you can be an advocate for OnlyFans, but you can also be an advocate for women who say, I did this and it's not something I
Didn't
would
like
ever
it.
do again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to be an advocate for that because that allows these women who are working in the sex industry to know that they're allowed to have feelings about the work they're doing. They're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have regrets about the work they're doing, and they don't have to just swallow it and deal with it and say, this is what I chose.
Yes.
Right. And I think that that's very important that I think somebody needs to explain that to her,
Mm-hmm.
because she obviously, right, feels like she can't express that regret. She can't express that feeling, the feeling of feeling dirty or feeling empty or however she's feeling. She doesn't feel like she can express that, and I feel
Or
think that
feeling trapped in her career path, right? I think, and I don't mean to cut you off, I think that, because it's sex work, we see it as inherently controversial. But think about other people who are trapped in lifestyles or career paths. It may not be sex work, right? But feeling like I've given too much or I'm too attached, my reputation is too aligned with this thing and I can't walk away, right? Um,
Mhm.
that's a really particular shame spiral that makes people stay in things that don't align with them. Think about how many people are in a marriage that's not aligned with them, and
Right,
they
and it's
don't
okay to
want to leave
pivot.
because of the shame of it, right? So,
Right. And it's important that people understand that it's okay to pivot.
yes,
And that's what I would tell her too. It's okay to pivot. You're about to have a child. Is this what you want your child to remember about
yes.
you?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Is this something you would promote to your child, right? Um, especially, if you have a daughter, is this something you would want her doing? Would you want her going out and trying to beat your record? So it's important to speak about how you feel about this. And it's okay to pivot. It's okay to say, okay, I did that. I had a good run of it, right? I did the OnlyFans. I made this money. And then I did that. And that was what made me decide that this is not what I want to do anymore. That's okay. At any moment, you can choose to say, this is not what I want for my life and pivot. And then I would offer to open, right? To open, you don't know what it is you want to do. You don't know what to do besides this because this is what you know. This is what you've done. This is the name you built. Okay, well, let's see what else spirit thinks that you would be good at. Let's see what else.
Yes.
Let's see what spirit has planned for your future.
Yes.
And then let's open roads and let's figure out how to get you there, right? Even if we have to start with opening those roads within yourself, that way you can learn to be honest to you with yourself, so you can learn to speak your authenticity, so you can
Yes.
learn to speak your truth, because who knows, that might be what's next for you, right? You
Yes.
could have gone from this ordeal, and your next career might be speaking on behalf of sex workers and saying, it's okay, we have feelings too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um and to be that advocate, to where and not be, you know having to not be out there doing the work, but to be actually speaking about it and helping other people in this industry know that it's okay. It's okay to feel dirty when you're done. It's okay to feel, sorry, my phone keeps ringing.
No.
It's okay to feel like you can, you know, like you don't want to do this. It's okay to pivot. And I
Yes.
think that's a really important conversation, that I think that if that's how she feels, that she needs to speak about it. If not for herself, then for everybody else out there who has ever felt that way.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's interesting how the shame cycle keeps people in that industry, right? And like you said, the fear of pivoting and almost being positioned like they can't pivot or they're not allowed. So there's a doubling down on the work, even when people are dissatisfied with it, that makes it really, really difficult to leave. And I agree that if she and others like her were able to have that conversation, it would make it easier for people to be like, you know what? I tried this, I didn't like it, I want to leave, right? Which is, it should be a
Right.
normal experience. Most people try things and when they don't like it, they leave. Like they don't double down, right? And yeah, so
And it's okay to enjoy it. It's okay to enjoy it up to the point to where you don't anymore, right?
yeah,
Because you could get that one client and you're like, actually, I don't want to do this anymore.
yeah,
That one person can change your whole perspective on everything you've ever done.
absolutely.
Um, so I think it's important. I think that she needs to talk about it. I would definitely work with her on that pivot. Um, and I feel very strongly that that's what that pivot would need to be, is to pivot from doing the work into advocating for the work. Um, Not just advocating for it, but also advocating for sex workers, right? Not
Yeah,
necessarily the work itself, but the workers.
yeah, the people who do the work, absolutely. I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. She could be a roadmap for other sex workers to rebrand and process the shame if she wants to do. Yeah, I agree, Tori. I agree. There's a
Absolutely.
market for it and there's a need for it. And I think that it would be dope if she would allow herself to have that. Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this tremendously, Kodan. Thank you so much.
Me too. Thank
This
you
was
for
not only
having
was
me.
it fun, but I think that this is also going to be really helpful for other people who may not fully understand what road opening is. If you're watching this either live or in the replay, I hope that this helped you further understand what road opening is and how it can be helpful for people in a multitude of different experiences in different ways, right? So, um, we are doing a 5-day road opening ritual called Pathways to Power. It's going to be March 30th through April 3rd. The deadline to sign up is not April, Lord, March 28th. And the reason why we're doing the deadline 2 days before is that we want to make sure that everybody has enough time to gather supplies, get their questions answered. We want you to enter into this feeling prepared, right? There's going to be a lot of breakthrough happening in these 5 days, and we want to make sure that everybody feels equipped and prepared, okay? If you are interested in joining us, The link to the WhatsApp intake group is below. Joining that group will get you access to further information as well as the payment links to sign up. That's where if you have any further questions, you can get them answered directly by me or by Kodan. Okay? Um, I typically do
Can I?
questions during happy hour, but I'm not going to do that tonight. We just really wanted this to be like an unofficial information session about the ritual. Kodan, you were about to say something. My apologies.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can I just say that if you are completely content in life, right? You have everything you could possibly want. You have the job, the house, the car, the kids, the man, everything you want, but something inside is still missing.
Yeah.
You're still not content with yourself. Join this ritual because road opening is not always physical.
Yes.
Sometimes it's internal,
Hmm.
right? So if you feel blocked in any way, um, whether it be physical or mental, emotional, join the ritual. It will open the roads. It will clear the blockages. Of course, there's going to be work, but it will clear the blockages, whether they are internal or external.
Yes. Yes. Think about how you feel. I think that was amazing advice that Kodan gave. Think about how you feel within yourself, but also within your relationships, right? If you notice that you're having certain conflicts over and over again in friendships, in family, in workplace settings, right? If you are somebody that switches jobs a lot and you have the same argument with different faces and different environments, um, this may be a great opportunity for you to not only gain some clarity, but to really have some breakthrough. So we hope to see you there. We would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for being here tonight during happy hour. I will be back on Sunday for the weekly energy reading. So I will see you all in a couple days. And until then, I want everybody to take care. Have a blessed night. Good night.
Good night.